My grandson Wayne, he's always been good to me. He's such a good boy. He brings me groceries and he takes me shopping. He just graduated from high school lately. And I wanted to get him a graduation present, something very special from grandmother. And that's when I decided that I would go to the bank and apply for a loan to buy him his very first car. So I made an appointment at the bank. And I didn't think there'd be any problems because I have dealt with that bank for more than 40 years. So I went in to see the loan manager, Kathy. And as she was looking up my file on the computer, I was telling her all about Wayne. And then her face got very serious and I got kind of worried because I couldn't imagine having any problems with the bank. She said, "It says here that you have an outstanding debt. It probably isn't a problem, so just let me look a little further." And so she typed some more on her computer, and she looked at the screen some more, and then she typed some more, and she looked at the screen, and then she stopped. She turned and she said to me, "Do you have a Freedom credit card?" Well, I couldn't believe what I was hearing because I've never had a credit card in my whole life. And I've never even heard of a Freedom credit card. And she said, "Well, it says here that you have one and that it has a $28,000 outstanding debt." I just couldn't believe my ears. $28,000? I didn't know what to say to her. I was so shaken. So she got me a cup of coffee and we chatted about this, and she said what she thought had happened was someone had stolen my identity, and then they had gotten a credit card and they had used it to make purchases and never paid for any of them. She suggested that I go to the police station. So that's what I did. But I worried all the way there. I mean, what if they arrested me? What if they didn't believe my story? But it was a very nice detective that took my case and wrote down all the information. And then I went home. And it was about 2 weeks later when that detective got in contact with me and said he wanted to meet with me. But he didn't tell me why. But I did invite him to come to my home. And when he came, he had a big file full of papers. And I made him a cup of coffee and we sat at the kitchen table and he brought out one of those pieces of paper and he said, "Read this, Audrey. It says that on August the 3rd, a credit card was applied for. But they didn't use your address, they used a post office box." And so I contacted the Canada Security, and they told me where this post office box was. It is in a pharmacy on the west side of the city, Westchester Avenue. And it's in a numbered company. So I got a search warrant and I looked in the post office box and found out the numbered company and the owner of that numbered company. He was brought to the police station and we questioned him. And when he saw all the information that we had against him, he did confess. He said that he had done some work for you last summer. He had built a fence for you and looked in your garbage pail. And there was a pre-authorized application for a Freedom credit card. So he had taken it and got the credit card. Then went on a spending spree and bought all these things and never paid the bills. And that twigged something. Yes, I do remember getting that pre-authorized application for the Freedom credit card, but I thought it was just junk mail. So I tossed it in the garbage. Well, the detective said that was my first mistake. I should have shredded it. Well, I've learned my lesson. I shred everything now with my name and address on it. And I think that people who steal other people's identity should rot in jail. Now, I never want this to happen to anyone else, because when I watch as people are walking down the back alleys looking in garbage cans, I think to myself, they're just not looking for pop cans and beer bottles. They are looking for identity. And once they find it, then they can go and get credit cards, they can open up bank accounts, they can order blank checks, they can get ID with their picture on it and their stolen identity. They'll go spending for 3 or 4 days and then they move on to their next victim. The detective told me that these people who steal others' identities, they don't use these credit cards to buy things that they might need. They have a whole shopping list there. They buy things like hot tubs and pool tables, and then they sell them for cash. Then they take that cash and they can either buy drugs or something else to feed their greedy habits. And so I think that everyone should shred anything that has their name and address on it.